And here we are. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the podcast that explores the world within and out. And thank you for subscribing to Traveling Inside Out, wherever you get your podcast from. Hi, everyone. It's been a minute. And not only that, but today is my birthday. And now, if I would have that device that big podcasters or like medium podcasters have, I would put like a celebratory sound, but I don't. It is my birthday, and not only that, but I decided to go live for my birthday recording an podcast episode. Do I know what I'm going to talk about? Maybe, kind of, not really. We'll see. So, last time when I recorded the podcast was back in November, and a lot has changed since then. The only thing that didn't change is that I'm still in New York City, which, I mean, yeah, back in November, I already knew that I'm still going to be here, but I wasn't sure back in the summer, for example. I wasn't sure where I will be in March. I would hope that for my birthday, I will be with my partner, but I wasn't sure. Okay, so let's get first kind of like a rundown of what happened since November, and then I'm gonna pick one main subject to talk about. I think this is how it works. I forgot to say that I'm live on YouTube on both of my channels. Um, and my plan is to also make this video available on Spotify. So it's like a whole thing happening. Hopefully, it's gonna work. I don't actually know um, how I'm going to get the video, so we'll we'll see. We're gonna do this as it comes. Anyway, so what happened since November when we spoke last time? We, as in you and me, my listeners. So it's me just actually speaking. Anyway, the last time that I talked, actually, and this is what's even funnier, is that the last episode recording was in November, but I was talking about things that happened in October. So it's even like longer. Halloween happened. No, I'm joking. Can you imagine how it would be now to be like, let me talk to you about my Halloween experience? No, that would be too much. Anyway, a main thing that happened was that I went on a cruise, and I have mentioned, maybe I don't remember who's listening to their podcast episodes back months later, not me. But I invite you, my listener, to do so. I went on a cruise. It was a short cruise from Florida to Bahamas and back. It was supposed to be a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday early morning to arrive. However, a storm made it in such a way that it shortened our trip with almost the whole Friday. We arrived late on Friday on a boat. We hurried to eat. It was a mess. It was a big mess. But I do have to say something. Alina, yours truly, was very informed, because you don't get to take Alina to a completely new thing and expect her not to do the mother effing research. I knew everything. I was so connected. I was on a Facebook group that told us when the boat comes, because the boat was stuck in Bahamas, basically. The cruise ship was stuck in Bahamas. I knew when the boat was coming back. I was following a guy on Facebook that is known as, I don't remember, like cruise director of some sort, whatever. So he was answering stuff. I was on it. I knew the gate or whatever it's called what we're gonna do. The one thing that I didn't know, but I did have a bit of an idea, however, it didn't work well, was that I, from the beginning, when the cruise ship was booked, I asked, I have an European passport. And when I say I asked my partner, I have an European passport. Does that matter? Because I know with United States, when you go back and forth, it doesn't matter if you go on such a short trip. And you can also go without a passport. but what about me as a European? Is it considered that I'm leaving the country and then I'm coming back in the country? Because me coming back in the country is gonna be something. Oh boy. I'm not gonna give you more details because I promised to make another full episode about the cruise, but I can tell you that it wasn't easy for me to go on that damn cruise because they had all sort of questions and I was like, oh my god, am I not gonna be able to go? Everybody's gonna hate me because it wasn't just me, it was my partner and his siblings. So it wasn't just affecting me and my partner, it was his siblings. So I was like, oh. But other than that, after we passed that little thing, because we did pass it, I did go, everything was nicer than I expected. I enjoyed it more than I wanted to admit. Classic me. I don't want to say that I'm happy because what if something bad happens? So that was the cruise. It was, as I said, short. I didn't miss Florida. I'm not gonna lie to you. Didn't not miss to be in Florida, but Florida didn't ruin us. However, when we came back, the partner went to work and he got COVID. He got tested and he had COVID. So that was not pleasant, especially. I mean, the point is that he didn't have, do I remember correctly? I don't think he had proper symptoms. Like he wasn't fully sick, but that was not pleasant. Anyway, then I did something amazing. Was that in November or in, no, it was in December. I went and I saw Lauren Graham because she released a new book. And I've been obsessed with Gilmore Girls since I was in high school. Was I high school or university years? I don't remember. Actually, in 2000 and in early 2000s, yeah, I was high school. And I got to see her live. So that was incredible. That was just, did I tear up? I did. Do you know why? Because for the past year, every time I do something, I keep thinking back at my younger self and how I wish I could go back to that younger self and be like, hey, guess what? In I don't know how many years, you're gonna get to do this, which you will have not even imagined in your wildest dreams that it's a possibility to happen in your life. And this was one of them. I didn't even have it on a wish list because it was so, how am I gonna meet Lauren Graham? I mean, I haven't met her in person, but I was in the same room with her. So that's as good as it gets in my case. So that was amazing, and I was very happy, and I did tear up because why wouldn't I tear up? I was just 1 hour of an event that it seemed so short. It felt like 10 minutes. It was so short. Um, and then Christmas came, and New Year's Eve came, and we didn't do anything very like completely different than usual. Just cooking, spending time with family, and enjoying Christmas movies and stuff like that. We didn't do anything special for New Year's Eve either, other than we went on the roof and I saw some fireworks, and that was it. However, I did one thing when I was on the New Year's Eve on the roof, and what I did was to yell out loud, I'm getting married this year, because I was about to get married this year, and I got married. I am married. For those who are actually watching the video, I am a fully married woman. It's so weird though. But yeah, I am a fully married woman. And with like wedding band, and this is an engagement ring that I not gonna get into it, but is another kind of I have two engagement rings basically. Long story short, I have two engagement rings. And this is one of them. Anyway, the thing is that I got married, but do you know when I got married? Like a week later. So when I yelled from the roof that I'm getting married, I wasn't like, maybe it's gonna happen. I was like, I'm getting married this. Might as well have said I'm getting married this week. So I got married. Now, the thing is, the funniest bit is that I got married and we did it at the city hall. The reason why we did it at the city hall was because we were not about to start planning a wedding because we wanted to get married soon-ish. So we were not about to truly go into planning a wedding. And secondly, because you know what happens? What happened is that I'm just seeing now. Oh, please tell me that the sound. Okay, the sound goes well. I was asking my partner to just check if my sound goes well, and the sound goes well. Okay, it's all good. Anyway, we decided to do it at the city hall because Kerry Bradshaw did the same thing. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Also, she got married at the city hall in Manhattan, not in Brooklyn, which I did. I got married. We got married at the city hall in Brooklyn. I am also going to make another podcast episode in which I'm going to talk specifically about getting married at the city hall and what you need to do, especially if you are from another country, as I am. So stay tuned for that if you are interested in that. There's a lot of podcast episodes that are going to follow that are going to basically just catch up with whatever happened since I've been away. But to finish the idea, we got married at the city hall because, first and foremost, it's for free. I mean, you pay $35 for the certificate, which I think you would pay for it regardless. I don't even know how actually it works for people who don't do it at the city hall. I don't care. Um, so yeah, the budget of it all, but also because I was, how are we gonna find a place where to get married? Also, it was beginning of January. Technically, it was supposed to be cold. It wasn't such a cold of a day. And so, yeah, that happened. It was rather very quick. I could barely hear what the lady said, so I don't even fully know what I said I do to. I just hope that I said I do to the fact that I'm going to be faithful and be by my husband's side until the end of time. I'm guessing that's what I said, something like that. I really don't know. I need to watch the video. My friend, the only downside of getting married at the city hall, at least then, I don't know what are the rules now, was that COVID rules were still in place, which meant that we were allowed only to have one person. And it wasn't a long deliberation, but we decided to go to with my friend from Romania, the only friend that I have, the one that I have visited many times in the past when I was traveling to New York before meeting my current husband, at the time boyfriend. So she took a video of us when we said I do and I do. I need to listen back and actually hear what she was saying because maybe I was too nervous. Maybe I don't know. She also was wearing the mask. So the point is that I don't know exactly what she said. I know that I said I do like once, twice, four times. I don't even know. I don't remember. Anyway, then what happens next was that we went to a restaurant. But again, I'm going to have a specific podcast episode in which I'm going to talk specifically about getting married. So I'm going to give you details uh, of the paperwork that you need to do and stuff like that. And I'm also going to tell you what to do when you change your last name, which I did, but I'm not going to tell you. My online presence is still going to be my maiden name because I don't feel like it's fair. It's not that I have a very big following, not to offend anyone. I love whoever is following me, but it's not that many people. However, I do want to keep my maiden name as my online presence. Um, and it's if I knew that it's gonna be so complicated, I don't think I would have changed my last name to be honest. And yeah, we can get into. I'm going to get into the meaning of changing your last name because I know nowadays a lot of people are like, no, a woman, you do you, woman, you never change your last name. You're ta, 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 ta. And I think that everybody should decide for themselves and nobody should be forced into it. But if you do want to change your name, I can tell you as an immigrant, what does that entitle? At least coming from one European country. I don't know for all the countries, but I know as a European country. I realized that I look a lot at myself instead of looking at the camera. That's an adjustment that I need to deal with in time. And also because I kept looking at myself, my lipstick is not on point, and now I'm being bothered by that. But I'm going to try not to focus. Anyway, what else happened? Ever since I got married, we started the paperwork for um, my green card. And let me tell you, that's not easy, man. That is not an easy thing to do. I am going to write a full on article about my experience of putting the papers in for my green card. But I'm planning to also come back to write articles on my website. So if you are interested, you can go to alinaigrad.com, and hopefully coming next month in April, I'm going to start coming back to writing articles. It's still going to be traveling articles or actual articles that I want to write about my experience as an immigrant in the United States, coming from from Iceland, coming from Iceland. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that we will see how much I'm going to write, how much I'm going to have a podcast about, or I'm going to combine and I'm going to have both. We'll see. But I want to talk more about the experience of how things are working in Romania, how they are in Iceland, and how they are in the United States, because I get to do this comparison since I have been living in all these three countries for a long period of time, I would say, on and off. Also, for whoever doesn't know what's happening right now, if you are live, even though, let's can I be very honest with you, I have zero viewers, people online right now, but maybe people are going to watch it in the replay crew, like, so if that's the question, what's happening, I am recording a podcast episode for Traveling Inside Out that you can find on any podcast platform. And for those who are actually listening to the podcast and they are annoyed, I'm sorry, I need to advertise my own podcast during the podcast for those who don't understand what's happening. So yeah, you go on any podcast platform you want, and then you're gonna find Traveling Inside Out, that is spelled with double L, because you know what? I've never addressed this. Let's address this. Traveling Inside Out. Why did I decide to write it with double L and not with just one L? Because growing up, when I was taught English in school and I had learned English in school from the sixth grade to the 12th grade, so that's 6 years. And then I feel like I had English in university years as well, because that's the only class that I failed. That's another story for another time. And I didn't even know that I failed. That's how bad this was. Um, or no, did I fail that one? Yeah, I think I failed the English class. That's hilarious. Anyway, my point was that we were taught the British English, and so my spelling is of British English because that's what I was taught in school, and that's how I've been doing for the longest time. My speaking though sounds a little bit more American, my expressions and so on, because even though the learning happened in school, the actual me starting to speak happened after watching a lot of American movies and YouTube videos. That's when I started to get more of the expressions that I'm using on my day to day life. And I mean, now I live in the United States, so it kind of works out. But yes, the spelling of the podcast is Traveling Inside Out. I don't know what happens when you spell it with one L, if you would still find it, but go on any podcast platform and you're gonna find it there. I do not remember what I was saying earlier, because why would I? But oh yeah, I was talking about the paperwork. So the paperwork is difficult, but I did find YouTube videos in which there are kind people who have been through the process, and they are explaining like word by word what you have to do. And that's incredible. because I have worked on the paperwork for a month, and it is frustrating, and it is annoying, and it is damaging to your well-being. You could also pay actual attorneys or whatever is the name. I don't know exactly the title, who are actually doing this for a living. But my understanding was that the minimum was like $500, and currently the immigration papers cost us, it was 530 something for his form, 1,200 something for my form, plus the $700, around $700 or eight, I don't remember, for the medical examination. So you can imagine I didn't want to add $500 to that. But again, I'm going to have full on episode about the paperwork as an immigrant and my experience, especially since I'm waiting in 2 days. I am, spoiler alert, I'm scheduled for my biometrics, which is good news, but also I want to see what happens after that. So that's why I'm planning to make a podcast episode a bit later on to see, to be more into the steps that I have to go through in order to get the either the green card or um, the card that lets me work. I whatever. We're gonna talk about that later on, because yeah, we're just gonna do that as a separate episode. So that being said, oh, another thing that happened, and I think that's going to be the first article that I'm gonna post on um, Alina grad.com, is about going again to see live uh TV show recording in New York, obviously. I chose Daily Show because they have people hosting the show every week, a different guest host. And so I went and I saw Chelsea Handler. I saw her hosting for Jimmy Kimmel, uh, I think half a year ago or so. And she like destroyed the situation. And I was like, I want to see that live. However, I guess it's another network, so it was a different approach because I was a little bit like, she didn't seem to have that funk. I don't know. I if I'm allowed to say that, but still grateful that I was able to do that and watch it for free, because it is for free. But there are some things that you need to do. Again, I'm gonna write an article about that. So when I am going to publish it. I'm going to let you know. But anyway, you can go to alinagrad.com and read previous articles that I wrote, because I have been to previous New York show tapings, and that was also something that I wanted to write about, the difference between back in 2018, way before the pandemic, and how it was now after the we are kind of done with the pandemic. I don't think it's a pandemic anymore, but yes. So when I decided to do the live, I was like, I have so many things to talk about, but I don't know what I'm going to talk about. And the truth is that every year on my birthday for the last few years, I decided to write a few words about my year. Something similar with how people have, uh, how is it called? For New Year's, you make a wish list. I forgot the name of it. I forgot the name of it. So, um, I usually do that for my birthday, in which I'm looking back at how my year went and looking forward to what I want for myself. Like I remember when I was back in 2019, when I was in Cyprus, and I remember that I was extremely happy with my life. I was working on myself, and the one thing that I was missing was a partner. And I remember that on that birthday, I was like, gonna be honest. I've been doing this solo woman, and I'm fine about it for so long. and I want to be honest. So I did write there that I hope in future, like, there was a picture of an older couple that were watching the sunset, and it made me think that this is what I want. I want for my birthday to be able to watch the sunset with my partner. And um it was, I think, the first time when I admitted out loud that I want a partner. I don't need one, but I want to have a partner. And well, guess what, Alina? You do have a partner. Let's see if we're gonna watch the sunset together today. We don't know. So yeah, what I wanted to talk about is the decision of leaving Iceland. So as I said before, every year I'm making, and I'm going to write an article this year as well about how my previous year went. And it started in a horrible way, because if you are curious to go back and listen to the episode in which I'm talking about my car, it's RIP Timmy. Timmy was my car, and the struggle with dealing with the situation with the car, it was, I lost a lot of money in the process, and it's still heartbreaking. And that's how my year started. Literally on the 21st of March last year, I received the information that it's actually going to be very expensive to fix my car. And the problem was that it was very expensive to fix my car, and yet it was not fixed, and I paid the extremely large amount of money, and at the end of the day, it was still not fixed. So that was kind of disappointing. Anyway, I'm not gonna get into it because I already had a whole full episode about it. But what else I wanted to say was that I was kind of ready to move on from living to Iceland, and I didn't know if everything is gonna work out with my partner. I'm not gonna be like it's not like we were struggling or anything. I was just like, I don't know where we're heading. So what I wanted to do was this: be in Iceland until uh, October, and then in October just go be with my partner for like 4 or 5 months, because according to my visa I can be consecutively 6 months within the country. And then I was planning to come to Romania in April and be in Romania for like also 4 to 5 months. Um, and then see when I'm allowed to go back to United States. And I was like, I think for a while we're gonna do the 6 months and 6 months. And I was like, well, I can be there for 6 months. And then when I'm stuck back in Romania, he can come and visit me for like a month or so, and we're just gonna do that. But I said to my partner that I just want to not be in Iceland. I feel like I'm wasting time. I'm not with my family and I'm not with my partner. I didn't get like I my job that I was working on back in March last year uh, was ending in June. And so I said I'm I'm not going to stay longer than that. Like I'm not going to try to find uh like long term jobs, because I am ready to move on. And so, what we decided to do was for Alina to take a break, so leave Iceland and then take a break, be in New York for a while, and then go to Romania, and then we'll see from there. However, what I didn't expect was to be proposed to and also get married. That was not in my plans. I don't know. I thought that if everything goes well, we might be considering to get married in March, or when I'm coming back. So basically in the autumn of next, like of this year, basically, when I'm coming back from Romania. So that's where I thought that we are. However, I came here. The first month was very difficult. I think I kind of mentioned a little bit in the previous episodes. But at the end of October, I got proposed to. And not only that, but my then fiance decided that let's not wait anymore. We've been together for 3 years. I want you. You want me. You are it, basically. This is it. So why wait? Let's just do it. So then I was like, oh, okay. Oh, Oh, okay, 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 okay. Um, so I had to rethink what I'm going to do. And again, I had a plane ticket that was bought for somewhere mid-April to go to Romania. And beginning of April was when my visa of 6 months would expire. Basically, we also planned to go to Trinidad for the carnival, which was end of February, and we didn't go because of my visa, my green card preparation. We weren't able to, and so what happened was that we got married. Then I started the documents, collecting all of the documents, figuring out what I have to pay, where, and so on. And then we submitted the form in beginning of February, and we've been waiting since then. And now the thing is that I am stuck here. So not that I cannot, like that I'm here. It's like I cannot leave. If I leave currently as it is, if I decide to leave, I'm going to um, have my application denied, basically, because they are going to consider when you leave the country, they are going to consider that you gave up on your application, which after paying so much money, I'm not going to do that, not even for a second. And so I am happy that we managed to fill in all the paperwork. So technically a visa should be available for me, which I didn't get it yet, but I think that's why I have the biometrics appointment in 2 days. um so on Wednesday, I don't know when you're gonna listen to this podcast. Maybe by the time you're listening to this, it's already done, which means that I don't need to be stressed about staying longer than my visa, but I cannot leave the country. So usually it can take up to 2 years to get the or like a year or so. And they have a huge backlog because of COVID times and because of the previous administration. I'm not going to say more than that, but yeah. Um, and so because of that, I'm stuck in the United States. I cannot leave. I did apply for the form that would let me travel, but I don't have it approved yet. So I also applied for the form that would let me work while they process my paperwork. That's not approved yet either, but it's not going to be approved until after I get the biometrics. So we're gonna see what happens after I get the biometrics on Wednesday, and we'll go from there. Now, the decision of leaving Iceland was kind of easy to make, but also difficult to go about about it. And I have to say, okay, one thing, I am in Brooklyn, and this room where I am right now, it's at the main street. Like the windows are directly into the main street. And what I'm learning is that in United States you don't have thermopans, which is something very common in Europe. That is soundproofing a little bit the situation. That's not happening. So you're gonna probably hear a lot of sounds. I should have said this in the beginning of the podcast, but here I am. I'm saying it now. So what happened is that um, I was done with Iceland. I was done with Iceland. I took the decision that I was ready to move on from Iceland this time for good, beginning of last year. So in January of 20, like when I was with COVID in 2021, beginning of January, I was like, I cannot do this. I don't want, like, I was so unhappy. Every time for the last few times when I was traveling back to Iceland, it would make me so unhappy that I would, when you get to the airport, and I think I talked about this before in my podcast, when you get to the airport and you're like, I'm home finally. I would get into the airport and I would be like, I don't want to be here. I just don't want to be here. And I have lived my whole life most of the time in which I didn't stay long in a place that I didn't want to be in, because life is too short to live like this. So I just had to be smart about it. And I thought I'm gonna put some money aside, but I lost a lot of money because of the car. Because I was like, I can work this job and try to be on a budget so I can have some money aside so I can afford coming to United States for like a few months with no job and um no job and no perspectives of like perspectives of what's the word, I don't know, of getting a job, because I can't work while I'm in United States as on a tourist visa, and I can't work when I'm in United States on a tourist visa from anywhere. Like just cannot work. So the decision was like, okay, I don't want to just pay rent and lose money, because the point that like the direction that my partner and I were heading was we want to put money aside to buy a house to have our own place. And I was telling him I cannot put money that much money aside anymore. Like I had some money put aside from Iceland, but it's not happening for me anymore. And I'm just wasting money on the rent. And the rent was expensive, it was around $1,000. I think it reached $1,000 in the end per month, which was a lot, also considering that I was again on unemployment benefits. So it's a lot. So I decided, like, you know what? I can be in Romania and not pay rent, for example. I can totally do that. Or I can be from time to time in the United States and not pay rent. Uh, Live where my partner lives from time to time. My plan was not to just be stuck here, which I am. And me being stuck here, it's really a lot of showing a lot of personal growth, because and I did freak out a few times about being stuck in the United States, because it's like, oh my god, it's killing me. It's killing me that I'm stuck in the United States and and I depend on my husband. Like all the freak out. I'm gonna talk about that on a later episode. But yeah, so I decided that I want to move on, and I had to be smart about it. So I announced the landlord like 3 months in advance that I'm gonna move on and I'm gonna leave and so on. And then it was the first time ever that I was actually living in a studio in which I bought big furniture. I have lived in a rent since the first year of university. So what is that making me? Like 15 years maybe, more or less? I think so. It was the first time when I had to buy my own bed. I had to buy the table. I had an extra piece of furniture. I bought all of the cutlery. I bought the carpet, like all of that. So it was a long process for me to sell everything. I didn't manage to sell everything. I sold the big stuff. I didn't manage to sell everything. Some of them I donated, some of them I gave it to my friends, some of them I replaced them. That's another blog article, website article that is coming up about exchanging things for things, and that was great, to be honest. I just felt sorry that I didn't know about it before moving out from Iceland. And so it was a difficult process, and I was very tired. Like August and September was for me all about getting ready to leave in October. And then the whole month of October was about getting readjusted and kind of be on a bit of a construction site, which was the apartment when I arrived. And then it longed up until November-ish. Um, and then December came. We went on a cruise. I started getting ready for Christmas. Then we got married. Then paperwork. So I feel like I never fully had um like time for myself and for I had so many plans to do online with uh I was on a roll with the videos on YouTube and the podcast and a format of the podcast and all of that. And I was like, I'm going to bring the guests back and it's going to be amazing, all of that. But what happened in the end was that I got overwhelmed, and I got overwhelmed that I was like, I need to let go of stuff. So I let go of my online presence. I just updated from time to time on Facebook. I did not use Instagram more than twice, I think, like 3 times probably the whole last year. Um, After I decided that I'm done with it, and so all of that is for me to say that I'm hoping that starting April, I'm going to have more of an online presence, because it looks like for now things are calming down. I need to go back into writing the articles that I said. I also need to go back into continuing to upload the videos on my two YouTube channels. One is under my own name, Alina Grad, and the other one is under the podcast episode's name, Traveling Inside Out. Not episode, the podcast's name. And so, with that, I have to say that today is my birthday again. So, wish me happy birthday. And we have planned, I hope that it's not getting cloudy though. I'm going to go to Central Park to try to find cherry blossoms. Apparently, there are few that have started to bloom. Then I'm gonna get myself a cake because it's my birthday. And yeah, and I'm gonna drink a special drink that my husband did that usually he does for Christmas and for his birthday. And speaking about his birthday, and this is what I'm going to let you with, we're going to Las Vegas. So I am so excited because we are, okay, so his birthday is in 9 days from mine. And so we decided, but he's going to celebrate a round number. So I was like, you know what? Let's celebrate you because it's more important your birthday than mine this year. In 3 years, it's gonna be mine more important than yours. But for now, it's my number. It's like a random 37, nothing to it. Um, so we decided to go to Las Vegas for 3 nights and then go to the Grand Canyon and then Zion Park and Bryce Park and all of the canyons around it. So we're gonna be there for a week, and I'm so excited. And I'm hoping to make a bit more videos. I'm also so behind with the videos from the cruise. Like, there's a lot of videos that I need to start editing and stuff. And hopefully, I'm going to do it. I'm just saying it out loud. Maybe this is gonna make me do it. So again, stay tuned if you want to see any of the photos and the videos either on YouTube or on my website alina.grad.com. I still have speaking about this, I still have, if you are interested in getting postcards from me, um, from my travels, you have the Sunset collection. They're still there. You still can buy it. I still have a few left. And it's a 10 postcard collection. You can buy 5 or 10, depending on what you would rather go for. And that being said, I'm excited to go to Las Vegas. I'm excited to go to Grand Canyon. I'm excited to let you know how it went. Um, and hopefully, starting April, I'm going to get back into more of an online presence. So, again, you can find me on the website, Traveling Inside Out, the podcast, wherever you get your podcast from, and the YouTube videos, and also hopefully this I don't actually truly know how I'm going to save this video in order to put it online on Spotify, but I'm gonna find a way. Anyway, that being said, it's my birthday. Happy birthday to me, and happy birthday to everyone else who's celebrating today. Also, did you know that today is Happiness Day? It's a little bit ironic to me that I'm born on a happiness day, but what you gonna do about it? So I wish everyone to be happy, and if you cannot be happy, I wish you are at least in the know of what makes you happy and you're on the way to happiness. That being said, I need to go because my husband is waiting for me to go to Central Park to see some cherry blossoms, eat some cake, drink some pancha creme. That's what I was saying, that my husband made a drink, pancha creme, it's called. And yeah, this wasn't that bad. I might be doing this again live on YouTube to record my podcast. Who knows? We're gonna see. Anyway, bye.